This is season number 19 of Bass Talk Live with Matt Pengrak. BTL is presented by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, Aftco, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Pro Guide Batteries, Beatdown Outdoors, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, and Omnia Fishing. Hit him with the hook, Jeffries.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Big day yesterday. Announcement of the Western Bass Shootout. Little breaking news there on BTL. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that out after the Ken Duke and Charlie Hartley episode, we went live again with the details on what I am going to call what they're trying to make the Bass Master Classic of the West Coast. You have the top Apex guys, the top Wild West guys, the top One Bass guys, and the top MLF Toyota Series guys. 50 guys, $2,000 entry fee, $100,000 first place this April. Sacramento, California Delta, big outdoor expo. Worth a listen to that. Had Ken Ma on to talk about that yesterday. And today we have a little bit of a follow-up from a show that we did last week with who I deemed the most interesting man in professional bass fishing, which is none other than Fred Kantawi. And during that episode, we were perusing a tournament that he caught an 11-pounder in. And the beautiful thing about the internet, the way we have it, I pulled it up, and there was just a treasure trove of names that are some of the biggest names in the sport. I think Zaldane was like leading that tournament, and there were just a crazy number of names that were in there. Well, one of the names that was in there was Hite, Brett Hite, the man himself. And for that, I believe it was 1 year, 2 years, 1 year. He had an interesting team deal. Well, that led me down the team deal rabbit hole. So I called Brett and I said, hey, let's do a team deal show, Brett. Let's catch up with you, see what's going on out in Arizona, and talk about the team deals. Brett, what's up, dude?
Morning.
Thanks for jumping on BTL.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We'll reminisce about some classic team deals that were given out through the FLW Walmart kind of stream there for a long time. You know, FLW had a great partnership with Walmart and really kind of led the way in getting non-endemic sponsors involved in fishing.
You went through you had 4 team deals through that. We'll get into all 4 of those because combined, I told you this yesterday, combined, your 4 team deals make up a Miami Beach cop.
Yeah, that was a pretty good analogy.
We'll explain to that. Dude, I feel like that's a very sought after shirt. Those are not very common, are they? The jackhammer shirts.
Yeah, I know a guy.
I know. I only see like the guys wearing the jackhammer shirts. There's shirts that become popular, and every time I've seen one, I've been like, dude, those are freaking killer shirts.
Thanks.
Are those still rolling just as good as they were when they first came out, or is that like is that now just part of the arsenal?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, we're selling a bunch of them. You know, it's I mean, there's been some knockoffs of it, but it's just like anything else. People still buy the original, whether it's the Cinco or the jackhammer. It's probably. I mean, there's been more money won on a jackhammer than any other bladed bait in the world. So, pretty hard to beat those stats.
What was the year? What was the year, if you would to say the bladed jig, the biggest year for it? Now throw in the rad lures and then throw in the introduction of the jackhammer. Like, in your opinion, what was the biggest year for a bladed jig? Like where it just blew up?
I would say maybe, in 2008, when I won back-to-back, it was still kind of like a hush-hush deal, even though I won $250,000 on it in like 3 weeks. People still didn't really catch on, I would say, till probably like 14 when I won Okeechobee, then won Lake Seminole. and obviously Zona, and we did a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah. That was the first year the sales went nuts then. Like absolutely.
Yeah, and we didn't even have the jackhammer out then. I was using a kind of OG, that old Phoenix vibrating jig, and I knew the thing could get a lot better. So after those tournaments, that's when Marizo Shmuzu and I got with Evergreen, and kind of decided that we just wanted to make the best bladed jig out on the market. And I think it probably released around 17 or something like that. Yeah. I got second at what's that place in south on the Santee River, below Santee Lake.
The Cooper River.
The Cooper River, yeah. There you go. What is that?
Winyah Bay.
Winyah Bay, yeah. And that's when I had the first. I got second with the prototypes, and then after that, I think we came out with it about a year later, and of course, Hank Cherry won the classic on it. We had a lot of stuff. Ott won the classic on it, and then Edwin Evers won Red Crest on it. So I mean, we had like 2 classic winners in a row, throwing pretty much one of their main baits as a jackhammer and the Red Crest winner. So I would say, that like 19 to 21 was just really, we sold a lot of baits.
I don't think it's talked about much, but we did that documentary. It's still on the BTL YouTube channel with Rad Lures, and then the transition to Z-Man. But I don't think there's been a bait that's been as successful that has gone through so many like evolutions, just little design tweaks, but also with companies, because it was a small company and then they needed the trailers and stuff, and then they ran out of production. This is the truncated version. So then Z-Man took over that. So then and listen, I'm getting the bladed jig talk out of the way so we can get to the other stuff. It's already in the comments. We're just we're the elephant in the room. You cannot do an interview with you without talking about it. Do you ever get sick of that, Brett?
No, I mean, it's kind of flattering to me, because I mean, people come to me for information about bladed jigs. I'm the guy. And I happen to know a little bit about them. I've caught a few bass on them, but what's neat to me is I get a lot of feedback from, whether it's fans or friends, saying that they caught their biggest bass on the jackhammer. Just cool stuff like that, how it's really helped their fishing game.
But so you and Marizo were with Evergreen, which back at the time, Evergreen was kind of like I want to say Evergreen was kind of like Lucky Craft when it first came on, where everyone was like, ooh, those are freaking cool. And then they caught on, but with the primarily the shower blows, but a bunch of cool stuff with Evergreen. So Evergreen, no relation to Z-Man whatsoever or anything. You guys would have make a better one, but I'm assuming because of how well Rad Lures did with their, this is just semantics, but I'm assuming with how well Rad Lures did with their patents and all of the back end that they did it was hard to make one that worked. So your option would have to be to partner with Z-Man in a way, add the Japanese elements, add what you guys want, and create kind of a partnership there. Fair rough assessment of how that ended up having to go down?
Yes, yeah, because we were just going to make the jackhammer for a JDM only because of the patent. So we just Marizo and I wanted a tournament bait that I could use and he could use, and it was just going to be a JDM bait because it's a U.S. patent, not a Asian patent.
Oh, so, is that why there's so many different bladed jigs over in the JDM market, like the Jackal and all that stuff? Because oh my gosh, I just realized that. So you listen to like Epic Eric and some of these guys, and they're like, look at this bladed jig, look at this bladed jig. And you're like, where the heck, how come we've never seen these? You're not legally allowed to sell them in the United States.
That's right. So after that Cooper River at Winyah Bay, I kind of let the cat out of the bag. And then Daniel at Z-Man called me and was like, we just started talking, and he's like, hey, how about if you guys already have all the design done, like, how about we buy it from you and sell it under Evergreen and Z-Man's branding? So it's just been a great partnership. Those guys are awesome to work with, kind of give me a free reign on colors and different ideas that we're working on. And it's just been a great partnership with Evergreen and with Z-Man.
And then the way I understand it, it's not like you guys jack the price up to 15 or 16 bucks. It costs an incredible amount of money, not only because of those components, but also the like international trade or bringing it over or something. Like there's a lot of money into each one of those baits before it hits. It's not like $1 billion % markup on that thing.
No,
right?
It isn't. There's a lot of hands in the basket.
Yeah.
Evergreen makes it, then we sell it to
Yep.
Z-Man, and then Z-Man sells it to a distributor or to a major, and then it gets sold to the retailer. So there's just a lot of moving parts in it. But as all the Jackhammer fans out there know, it's worth the $15.99.
Yeah, you got the swim bait guys, you got the frog guys. I think you got the balsa guys, and you got the Jackhammer guys.
That's right.
I mean, you just have a bunch of. I mean, you get mobbed everywhere you go.
Well, they know where to come to get them, the guys on tour. So
yeah,
I get asked every once in a while if I got any back stock.
So you're
alt.
Is that an exercise bike behind you with exercise shoes?
That's a Peloton, yeah.
Oh my gosh. You have a your backdrop is a Peloton. The Jackhammer sales must be pretty good, Hite. Do you have I've
actually been riding it lately, so.
Do you have the like customized coach that you have the little screen and they come on and they're like, we're going up a hill, Brett, pedal harder?
Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of different stuff you can do with that thing. I just do like a 30-minute ride, just kind of get the juices flowing,
And you live in one of the only parts of the country you could actually do that outside.
Well, but lately, the last 2 days I've been riding it because it's been raining. Today, normally I go for a hike, mountains all around the house. But when it's soggy, wet, and raining, you got to get your cardio in somewhere else.
I hear you. All right. I want to dive right into this. FLW team deals, a lot of stuff going on in the professional bass fishing industry. In my opinion, the most overused term in the professional bass fishing is grow the sport. And I had Ken Duke on yesterday, and I asked him, why is history important? Who cares? Like, who cares about what happened in the 80s? And he had a pretty good reasoning as to kind of learning for the future from the past and things, and just having an understanding of what's going on. Dude, if you took 2003 to 2008, maybe even a little bit before that, and implanted it right now in 2021 with what happened at FLW, people would be like, holy cow, this thing is going NASCAR. This thing is going PGA. Some of the stuff that was going on 15, 20 years ago with camera angles, live shows, team deals, boat wraps, professional angling, exposure, where you guys were, how you were seen, was mind-blowing. If you really go back and look at it compared to where we are now, that was a hell of a time, Brett.
Yeah, we were fishing for more money in the mid 2000s than we are now. Unfortunately, the sport hasn't really grown. It's actually kind of gone backwards on payouts since that time. I think we had like 4 of those super tournaments or 2 of those super tournaments a year where that's $250,000 for first, and just crazy payouts and big activations. A lot of money was being spent, on those big activations and things like that. And of course, that was all led by the relationship with Walmart. That was where they, were getting all the leads to these non-endemic sponsors.
I mean, guys, I think it was 2007. I don't know how much Hulk Hogan cost, but he literally was the face of FLW fantasy fishing, and they gave away $1 million to the winner of the Forest Wood Cup, and they gave away $1 million to the fantasy fishing winner. Now, we don't have to get into how that payout was structured and what happened to it. But at the time, they won $1 million.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah. My first major tour victory at Lake Toho right there. Hulk Hogan was there on the dock. That was the final day, I believe. And he said, "Hey, brother."
What do you remember about that? We're looking at Hulk Hogan in a black fantasy fishing cutoff T-shirt. I mean, pythons out in his prime, blonde hair coming out of the tied-on hat deal, shaking Bret Hite's hand. I mean, that's the Hulk Hogan, dude. Like that had to. Yeah. Did that not spin you out going into the morning?
I was like, okay, I don't really understand Hulk Hogan with fishing, but whatever, I guess Irwin was buddies with him or something like that. So, there's always a backstory to it, but a little odd to have Hulk Hogan as our spokesperson, but hey, whatever works.
How did those team deals work? Because we're going to get into them. I've heard a bunch of different stuff from a bunch of different people. I'm sure you had to sign NDAs at the time. Are those like gone, done? Can you actually talk about how a freaking FLW team deal worked? Because I heard guys being like, oh, these guys are making $1 million on this. They're getting all this stuff. And then I heard other guys going, they get their entry fees paid for and they can't get any additional sponsors and they're in jail as long as they're on a team deal. I've heard it across the entire board, Brett.
No, I mean, I would say most of them were, getting their entry fees paid with some kind of salary and then a truck to use from Chevy. They had a whole fleet of whether you wanted a Suburban or a truck. And then, you could have your own sponsors and everything like that. But of course, on those final days, you had to have sponsor compliant. If it wasn't one of their sponsors, you couldn't wear that logo. So kind of didn't really help your personal stuff unless they were a sponsor of FLW at the time.
So when you kind of first came over, you did like a crazy, you went from white T-shirt to Imodium to copper tone to Dunkin' Donuts to National Guard all in a 5-year span, right?
Yeah, that white T-shirt was the first what would have been the EverStart Western tournament at Lake Pleasant on my home lake, and I won. And all I had was I was fishing the top 150s then, and all I had was bass jerseys. I flew home and fished the tournament, and so they're like, "Oh, you can't wear that." I'm like, "Okay, what am I supposed to wear?" So a white T-shirt with a EverStart sticker on there,
like a literal sticker, like a bumper sticker peeled off and slapped onto the white T-shirt.
Yeah, that's all they had. I'm like, okay, you guys want us to, we can't wear any of our stuff. And then you give us a white T-shirt and put a sticker on it. Let's look a little bit more professional.
So how'd you end up on a team deal then? Did FLW approach you? Was it based on your performance and having won? How do you end up on a specific team? Did you get to choose? What was that process like?
Yeah, well, in 2005 was my last year on the top 150s because 2006 was when they switched over to the elites. And, as a up and coming bass fisherman, our entry fees went from like $15,000 to $55,000, and they said, "Hey, by the way, you got 2 months to figure it out." And I just wasn't going to take that risk in my young career at that time, because if things go bad, you're in a world of hurt. So, kind of took a year off, fished 5 days a week around Arizona, and fished all the Western stuff, and made a change to Ranger. They were very influenced to help me get a team deal. Obviously, they were a big partner, owned by the same company. That's when Irwin owned Ranger and FLW at the same time. So, they kind of brokered the deal, and that's kind of how the cards started falling.
Did you get to pick who you wanted to be, or did you just get a call or an email that said this is?
Yeah, you would just get a call and say, here's the deal and here's a sponsor. Do you want it or not?
All right. So it's 2007. You're over on you're on the FLW Tour. Yep. Things are rolling. You have the EverStart. You've been established at Bass. And I apologize. I didn't realize you'd fished that many tournaments on the. I mean, you were established already, so that had to help with your. That's kind of when I really started covering it. Was 2006 is when I really, the very first year of the Elite Series, when I started following all this stuff like hardcore. So you get a call or email. Someone's like, hey, you may possibly interested in an FLW team deal.
Yep.
And you're going, yeah, boat, truck, entry fees. That's a huge thing for, kind of a young angler. If you can get your entry fee, I mean, and they were $5,000 entry fees. I was fishing the Western National Guard, which were pretty much a tour level event. They had 200 guys paid the same. We had the BPs, and then we had the National Guards, and then of course the tour. So fishing 4 Westerns, and then whatever, I think there was 6 or 7 tour events. So I mean, it was full schedule.
It was a big opportunity for me.
And then they say, hey, here's your team deal.
Yeah. And it was Imodium AD.
Chewables, easy chews.
Yeah, easy chews. I mean, you got to have the easy chews.
Now, listen, not laughing at you, but I mean, was there a moment where you were like, boy, there's a lot of options out there, and that's an interesting one?
Yeah. I mean, whatever pays the bills, man. I mean, see, there we go. Yeah, whatever pays the bills. But yeah, it's, I mean, just to have the opportunity, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take it. I'll rock the Imodium.
So I couldn't find one of the boat, but did you have the boat wrap too?
Yeah. Boat and truck wrapped.
Boat, truck, and jersey. So you toured the country in the Imodium AD Easy Chews.
Yeah. The shit stops here. That was my motto.
Did you have to learn? Here's my other question. Did you have to have an in-depth knowledge of the product? Did you get years supply of Easy Chews sent to your house? What was the?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got a whole giant box full of two, it's like a little packet. Like if you go to the gas station, you got to buy some Tylenol and you get 2 pills. Yeah. I had a gigantic box full of Easy Chews.
So you just be tossing about, you'd be handing them out to kids at gas station. Hey, kids.
What's funny is when you're sitting there waiting before takeoff and you see a guy doing a beeline towards your boat and he's like, hey, Hite, you got any of those Easy Chews? And you're like, you're in a little trouble. You're in a pickle this morning, aren't you?
Yeah.
The guy's on the trolling motor. He's coming in hot, bangs off the side of your boat. He's like, dude, I need the hookup. You felt like a dang drug dealer. You're like, hey, is this legal?
Who got the most Easy Chews from you over that year?
I don't know.
Because I mean, dude, I got buddies who I'm like, you got to go again. Every morning, it's like, how do you start your morning out like that, man? I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, No. But when there is emergency, it can't come in handy.
There is. So
I
then
carried a whole Ziploc bag full of them in the boat.
Did you have people stop you all the time, honk and do on the road? Did you get a lot more publicity, do you think, of people going, look at that thing rolling down I-10?
They were like, oh, this guy, he's shameless, man. He'll take money from anybody.
But that was a 1-year deal. So then the next year they're like, hey, we want to switch you, or did you put in a request, or how did you end up how'd you go from anti-diarrheal to sunscreen?
I don't know. So Imodium AD is owned by Johnson & Johnson.
Okay.
Which I think owns Tylenol.
Yeah.
They decided, I think they had a 2 or 3 year contract. decided not to renew their contract, so they got a copper tone came on, and I was like, yeah, that's a little more, that's a little cooler.
So that's what I think a lot of the common fans don't understand is all these deals were big conglomerates. So the deal was, hey, they have a boat and a truck wrap, a lot on impressions, a lot on visibility, but then it was up to like the team deal managers to decide who gets it. It's not like you're talking with the guy who invented Imodium AD and he's like, yes, you are my guy. It's distributed through these massive brands, right?
That's correct. Yeah, they pretty much, there was FLW was the broker for these deals. They'd go and get the deal signed up, and then they would show this, obviously the sponsor, like, hey, here's 5 guys that might fit, what you're looking for in your brand. And then they would say, yeah, go ahead and ask them if they'd like to be on the team.
Now, I feel like some guys, isn't it like Greg Bohannon? Aren't there a couple guys that like have kept what they started like a long time ago as a team deal? And then like, I mean, those things are gone obviously now, but they're still branded with those brands that were familiar team deals. Like I feel like Pringles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Greg lives in that Northwest Arkansas, home of Walmart, and has a good relation with some of those companies. And that's why he's, if you can get in with those companies, and obviously if the staff stays the same and you can keep that relationship, those are, I mean, they're big companies, and they got money to spend.
All right. Then you went from Coppertone. So that was Coppertone a couple years. I feel like that was more than 1 year.
I can't remember. I think it was only one, to be
honest. You won in the Coppertone jersey though.
Yeah, I won Toho and then the Cal Delta for the West.
Okay, maybe that's why it seems so prevalent. And then you had a season of Dunkin' Donuts.
That's right. Yeah, Dunkin'.
That
Donuts
was a fun wrap.
It was Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Oh, coffee exclusively.
Yeah. So obviously you could go buy your Dunkin' Donuts coffee at your local Walmart, the stuff that you would get at the regular donut shop. So that was what they're really pushing, was pretty much the coffee brand.
And did they use you in any like marketing stuff for all this? Like, did you ever go into Walmart and there you are going 72 miles an hour at the end of aisle 7, which is the Imodium AD aisle, and you're like, holy cow, that's me?
No, I mean, sometimes we'd have these meet and greets at Walmart. They'd have it set up for a couple hours where, you hand out, I don't think we handed out Imodium, but, handed out free Snickers bars, and people like, you would think they're little tiny miniature Snickers bars, and you thought you gave somebody like a gold ring or something. It's like, whoa, man, these people are really getting excited about a free Snickers bar. But you are in a Walmart, so you're the whole variety of people that go into Walmarts are pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a Walmart in the middle of Oklahoma, so
yeah, you see it all.
Then this is the one that I'm really curious about, because when you hear FLW team deals from back in the day, this was the juggernaut. This was the gold standard that all others were judged by, and that was the National Guard team. That had to be a pretty cool team to be a part of.
Yeah. National Guard was awesome. I mean, we did a lot of really cool stuff with a lot of soldiers. We'd have soldier events pretty much every single tournament. If you didn't make the cut, take out a couple soldiers with you. Just got to interact with a lot of really awesome people who served our country.
And that was one that I feel like there are a lot of guys that, Scott Martin, synonymous with National Guard. Justin Lucas, even as a co-angler, synonymous with National Guard. That one lasted a long time too. That's probably the longest running one, wasn't it? Like just as far as independent.
I think Kellogg's was probably the longest running one. That and Fuji. They were there for a long, long time, and Castrol. David Dudley was on Castrol forever.
Yep.
So I think those were, and then BP was a big one.
Yep.
They had a really big team, and that was a good deal. And National Guard, Kellogg's, Fuji, and then
we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Fuji just kind of shrivel up when the digital age of a cell phone camera.
Wasn't Block It on Fuji?
Block It was on Fuji. And
dude,
Wesley
that would be the best show ever with Randy Blockett. Did he resist going from the throwaway Fuji film and the film roll cameras to the cell phone camera when they came out? Did he feel like that technology was just too much of an advantage to be able to instantly take photos of people and look at them now? I mean, that's basically live photos, Brett. Let's be honest here. That was taken out of his pocketbook with the Fuji film.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, you didn't have to go to Walgreens to get your box camera developed. And then you realize that not one of the pictures is a good picture.
I mean, think of the advantage. Think of the advantage that people with social media had, who had the ability to take a photo and instantly share it to the world with the cell phone camera. All right, we're going to take a break. We kind of got ahead of ourselves here because when we come back, I want to roll with Brett, continue that kind of theme. I'll probably field a call from Block It here in about 30 seconds. I want to name the most iconic and some of the best FLW team deals, boats, wraps, and brands from the FLW team deals. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got over 20 right here, Brett, and some of these are iconic. Some of them are great.
Yeah, they are.
See what I did there?
I got you.
You know, who am I talking about? They're great.
Dave Lefebvre.
Yeah. All right. BTL. What day of the week is it? It's a Tuesday. It's Tuesday, January 17th. Brett Hite, live from his Peloton room in Arizona. We'll be back right after this.
Introducing HDS Pro. Watch fish reacting to your lure live with Active Target 2. Get game-changing clarity in the megahertz range with the new Active Imaging HD sonar. Find the richest fishing spots with C-Maps charts. Take full control of your boat with the ultimate fishing system. HDS Pro. The more you see, the more you catch.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top on Strike King.
Hey guys, Gerald Swindle representing the AFCO Hydronaut. This is the jacket I love wearing when times is tough, and I'm talking about the weather, not the fishing. The jacket, what I like, I got a double cup right here. I can seal up the bottom of my jacket because when you're fishing, you're holding your arms up. You're bad about getting water that runs downhill. Everything bends good. I'm long arm. Look, it fits very comfortable. My arms is flexible. I've got the speed hood on, pouring down rain. I can get everything zipped up. One thing they did is they made plenty of pocket space. If you ain't got enough pockets in the Hydronaut rain suit, you just got too much stuff. From the water membrane, that's 30K, baby. 30 times the reason you ain't gonna get wet. Super warm. If it's cold in the wintertime, you put on your Hydronaut, you're gonna be a much more comfortable person. If you don't want to just look sexy at Dairy Queen, wear your Hydronaut. We got it from small to 5X. Most rain gear does not come in that many sizes. You got waist adjusting straps. We can make it fit you. No matter what the environment is, we want you to be comfortable. We want you to be dry. You gotta check it out. It ain't gonna let you down.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
All right. Welcome back, BTL, on a Tuesday with the man, Brett Hite. Talking FLW team deals from the past, kind of learning more about it. I feel like that's just like an era like that everyone goes, yeah, that was the team deal era. Do you agree on that? Yeah,
for sure. You know, I mean, there was a bunch of guys. I mean, I think Hackney had a deal there before he really
I remember him in a Lando Lakes jersey with the big thing. Was he a Lando Lakes guy for a year? Was he a Lando Lakes guy for a year?
I thought he was Team Yamaha there for a while. I knew that. I remember that when he was still in a Ranger. But yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of guys who kind of started their career through that team kind of deal.
All right, let's go through some of the iconic ones, Brett. And if you're listening or watching live, feel free, jump in the instant feedback here. I don't know can you see that, Brett? Do you have your screen pulled up to where you can see that on the side? It should be scrolling down the side. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Well, Clay and Dustin are having a degenerative conversation over there now. But if you have a team deal that sticks out to you from back in the day while you were covering, and maybe it's just me because that's when I really started. I started interning for Jeffries in 2007. So that was kind of the heyday of the team deals. So these are the ones that stick out for me. Number one, and I don't know why, but I have always loved this: mustache, orange. Come on.
What?
Older Alvin Shaw in the Cheez-It boat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was all part of the Kellogg's brand, I believe.
Yep. Big fan of Alvin Shaw in the Cheez-Its boat.
Yeah, very iconic.
Very iconic. The other one that I feel was underrated that people don't talk about, loved the Weed Eater jersey.
Yeah, or the Poland chainsaw.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. I don't know if we can find that. But
who was the Poland chainsaw guy? I
don't remember, but they had it. But yeah, the Weed Eater. What else? Land O'Lakes is a big one.
Yeah. All right, we'll start here. Greg Pugh and Snickers.
Yes.
He had like a couple crazy good years there. Greg Pugh did, and synonymous with the Snickers wrap. Agree with me there?
Correct.
Obviously the Keebler.
Yep. That was Keebler.
that was just too easy. That was a good one.
That's what David Walker, that's his nickname, LaKeebler.
LaKeebler. Didn't he have the 3 little Keebler elves on the wrap too?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the cookies.
He was Tony the Tiger, I've thought, for a while too.
Yeah, I thought he was too. Kellogg's with the Clark Wendlandt.
Yep.
I would have to put that one probably outside of the National Guard wraps. As far as unique ones, I think the Tony the Tiger, the Kellogg's wrap is the number one team deal wrap in history. Like pick a better one. Prove me wrong on that one, Brett. I mean, dude, it was the Tony the Tiger boat wrap. Thing was freaking awesome.
Stripes on it.
Yeah, it had the stripes on it, and it lasted a long time, and he was winning Angler of the Years out of that thing.
Yep. Yeah, and then you had Castrol was there for a long, long time.
Yeah, but the Castrol wasn't as cool as the Frosted.
It wasn't as cool, but it was iconic.
As the Frosted Flakes.
Yeah.
I did have Fujifilm, Jim Dillard and Capri Sun. He still has the Capri Sun wrap truck. Now, I don't know how if that's still active or not, but he still has the Capri Sun truck that he toasts all the opens.
Gotcha. Yeah, he kept that relationship going. I didn't even know they made Capri Sun anymore.
Absolutely. I think that's still the drink of choice for like youth soccer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot.
I've always thought like if Capri Sun could do a pouch that would be a little bit bigger, but then there was a port in the back of the pouch that you could add like vodka.
Yeah.
So you could have a Capri Sun
shooter,
an adult pouch.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to step it up a notch, hit the back pouch and whammo.
Yeah. We mentioned the Pop-Tarts. That's an iconic one.
Yeah. That was still in, I think, under that Kellogg. And the other, Duracell.
Oh, dude, that was Michael Bennett.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the team Duracell, some of the jerseys had the bunny on it. Some of them were the copper top. They had multiple layers of the Duracell.
Yes. And then you had like Bounty, I think.
Yep. Gate.
There was that huge Procter & Gamble team there for a while. P&G.
Is that the one that Prevacit fell under?
What's that?
The Prevacit boat? Dan Moorhead?
Yeah. Yeah, wasn't it pink?
Little pink stripe down at the bottom,
yeah.
Prevacit.
Yeah.
Antacid.
Yeah. I mean, they went through a bunch of them, It was there was either those companies that really liked it or they were in for a year and they were like, nah, we're out.
Clay wants to know the Paw Patrol, that was a one-off deal. That wasn't a team deal, was it?
No, that wasn't a team deal.
That wasn't a team deal. And then obviously probably the most two famous teams of all time, I would put as the National Guard team and the Crown Royal team. But the Crown Royal team wasn't an FLW deal, was it? That was like a separate.
That was a different. There's a guy, I forget his name, because I was rooming with Aaron for a couple of those years when he was with the Crown Royal. That was based a guy out of Atlanta that put that whole team together with Peter T. And obviously Aaron was probably the biggest star on that.
Skeet.
Skeet was there I think he was there for a year or so, but Aaron was there from the get-go and was really kind of the star of that whole team.
But totally unrelated to FLW, but the most famous team deal of all time. That was freaking, do you remember when that came out, especially with those West Coast guys on it? Like that had to be super badass. Like, holy cow,
that was awesome. I mean, they'd get those Ford excursions and they'd have them all. This was before wraps, really. They would paint these excursions like white and purple. And I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, they put a bunch of money into it.
Yeah, I think I got just for Samantha, I think I got Duracell and Energizer mixed up. One of them has the bunny, one of them doesn't.
Yeah, Energizer has the bunny. Come on.
Which one? But Michael Bennett was.
He was Duracell.
He was Duracell, and then he went to Febreze. How could I forget Febreze? Remember the baby blue Febreze jerseys that were out for a year?
Yeah, I mean, it just it thinks you're going to be smelling good stuff with the baby blue.
Yeah. We had the Quaker State. Quaker State was big in it. You know what? I'm gonna have to add a third team because when the Elite Series first came out. In that 06, I think 07, 08, there was the Citgo team. John Cruz, I think, was it Marty Stone, Gerald Swindle?
Yep. I was on, what was it? It was an oil filter company that me and Gerald and Marty were on too. I'll think of it.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Starts with a P. Purelator.
Yep. Team Purelator. Well, there were some beverages. Weren't there a plethora of different like Dr. Pepper, Diet Dr. Pepper, all sorts of weird one-off beverage jerseys for a year or two?
Yeah, 7-Up. I think Shad Skank was 7-Up for a long time. if I remember right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those companies, they would just, if it was under Procter and Gamble, they would line out, let's say there was 8 team deals under Procter and Gamble. They would, every year they might switch up the, what products they would want to push that year. And then obviously they would kind of keep some of the iconic brands that they always used.
Oh yeah. First $1 million winner, Scott Suggs in the Folgers jersey. He was Folgers for a long time.
Long time. Yep.
That kind of burnt red jersey with the Folgers across it. That was iconic.
Yep. And then Michael Bennett won the next year, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, Mountain Dew. That was big. Wasn't Jason Christie wrapped in dew?
Yes,
when he first came on FLW Tour?
Yep.
There are a number of Dew guys. He was Diet. Was he Diet Dew for one?
I can't keep up. You've got the computer.
Well, I mean, you can't look this stuff up. This stuff doesn't exist anymore. It's hard to find out. I do remember he had so when he went back to the Elite Series or went to the Elite Series from the FLW Tour, he had been due for a couple years. I don't know if it was individual with a team deal, but he wasn't due when he won one of the Elite Series. But Bass was sponsored by Dew.
Yeah.
Diet Dew. And Mercer was on stage drinking one. Christie's in the hot seat, and he asks Jason if he wants a Diet Mountain Dew. And Jason just looks at him. He goes, I don't drink that stuff anymore. Now, he might be back with it now, but the Diet Mountain Dew's done a lot for bass fishing. Like, they are very active as far as into that. Yeah, a number of guys are. And they do a lot of active stuff on social media, but I'm sure we're leaving some out because of the older days back in there. Like, the Fujifilm stuff, like that was the first. Did you ever have to wear one of those, or was that did you go after where you had to wear the battery belt for the microphone and the hat cam and the net cam and stuff? Or did you ever have to wear one of those?
Yeah. In 2008, when I won the Delta and Toho, I wore that battery belt thing. And that was, always interesting.
Was that as heavy as it looked?
I mean, after you started fishing, it wasn't bad, but here's the bad thing. They had, it was like a fanny pack and they put it on your back. So when you went to move or run, that thing's like in the back of your seat the whole time. So you had to like slide it around. I mean, it was just completely uncomfortable. But you just kind of try to zone that stuff out and just go fishing. But yeah, there was a lot of distractions, and when you're under their realm, you kind of just go with the flow. But I told myself I would never be in the situation where somebody else kind of manages my sponsorships, because you get left in the dark a lot without having full communication with your sponsors. I like to actually communicate with your sponsors and pretty much control your own destiny, not what somebody else wants out of the sponsor.
Because then when that goes away, you're kind of just have a month or two to figure out what the heck you're going to do for the following season.
That's exactly right. Yeah. When, they kind of keep you in the dark on the deal and never really have communication with those sponsors. It always went through FLW, and it by the end of it, it just got so frustrating. I told myself I was never going to put myself in that situation professionally again.
There was also, I wouldn't say dissension, but a lot of and the Elite Series did this too with the Dirty Dozen, and they had all the sponsored boats and stuff for a number of years. But on that final day, if you weren't on a team deal, they put you in a different boat.
Correct.
And different electronics, different trolling motor, everything. I mean, you got to this point and then you had to wear their jersey on the TV show in their boat. And that was a big deal with the sponsors and the anglers, as far as working to be able to represent their own sponsors on the final day, both on FLW and on the Elite Series. Now, I know people say, well, MLF is doing that. They're doing that in the cup events, which are made for TV events, always have been since they introduced in 2011, specialty events that you qualify for through the BPT standings and things like that. So it's not like a regular season event on the BPT where they're asking you to, you know what you're getting into with that. And I think that is a critical component to the success of BPT and MLF are those team events now. That used to be the cup events for so many years. Fair assessment there. I just needed to get that out.
For sure. Yeah. Those are specialty events that, they sell all that sponsorship, and they do very well selling that stuff because they know it's going to be on TV. So, I agree. I mean, that's what we really strived for, is to be able to fish out of our boats on final days when everybody's watching, to represent our sponsors.
Sponsorship wise, answer this how you want to. Would you rather have a lucrative multi-year title sponsor, or would you rather have an enduring royalty deal? I don't know how to answer that, but you know where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
Like,
it just depends, I mean, if a royalty deal, if it's a hot selling bait, it could be good. And then, I think you try to find the happy median, in your career, where if you can have a couple good royalty deals and have, solid contracts with your sponsors, that's really what everybody's looking for.
Underutilized in the industry, in your opinion, guys and royalty deals on baits, or does everyone know about? I feel like just talking to guys, it's underutilized. Like, to me, it makes sense. You create a bait, you have a part of it. Hey, if I don't perform, I don't get paid. But if I have a bait that goes through the moon, now I'm actually getting compensated for years and years and years. And it's also marketable across the entire platform. It's not just one or two guys. It makes sense to me, because the better the company does, the better you do that.
Yep. Yeah. It's a win-win for everybody. But as you know, I mean, it's hard to come up with a bait that's, that's a winning bait that everybody wants to throw. It's just, I've been very blessed to have the relationship with Evergreen and Marizo, and, designing helping design Jackhammer, and how successful it's been. Along with the Zaco too, I went to Yamamoto, and I'd been with them since 1998. And finally I'm like, hey, we got to build a trailer for this thing. And obviously it's one of the best selling trailers for a bladed jig on the market.
That's crazy. Hey, are you cool with Dino? I know you're both Arizona guys.
With who?
Dino Rojas.
Oh, Dean? Yeah.
Okay. So today is he just got on. Today is the 22nd anniversary of his 45-2.
Yeah, I was at that tournament.
You were at that tournament? All right. Well, Dean's with us. What's up, Dean?
Hey guys, how we doing?
Apparently we ended up in a Arizona vortex. Like, I didn't know you were gonna just jump on now. I got Brett Hite on. We're talking. I need to be talking to you about royalty and team deals and all that stuff, because but I got Brett Hite on. I just wanted to jump on for 2 seconds. I'm not done with Brett. Are you good, Brett? You don't have to be anywhere, do you? Okay.
No, cool, man. B Hite's cool, man. Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm a long ways from up there right now.
All right. What is today, Dean, and where are you?
Well, today is January 17th. It is the 22nd anniversary of the 45 pounds, 2 ounces. And guess where I'm at right now? Lake Toho. I'm sitting right here. I remember walking up. Actually, I parked the boat right there. It's a lot changed by now, but you can see this walkway here. I remember idling on in and parking right here. And then as we walk back this way, you kind of see this is where the backstage was, where I weighed in the 45 pounds, 2 ounces, 22 years ago today.
Now you can't even be on Toho right now. You're just filming, right? Like, not on the water.
I'm on dry land right now. I just got here. I had to drop my blazer this morning off to get wrapped. So came on over here. I'm going to do another video, obviously, for my Facebook and all the social media stuff. But Matt, you came first on BTL, of course. And but it's a special day today. So I kind of celebrate it. As many of you know who follow me, every year I do something special. So this is the first time I've been back here on the exact day and the time. So, I mean, what time is it right now? It's about 10:30 right now.
Yeah.
22 years ago, I had a 10-12 and a 9, 4.5, and a 2.5 in the boat at this time. It wasn't until about 12 o'clock that I caught another 10. So it's kind of cool reliving the whole deal.
All right, Brett and I were just reminiscing over the past 30 minutes over the best old school FLW team deals, the most iconic FLW team deals. What's your take? I mean, you've been around, you've seen it all. If you were to name your top 3 favorite old school team deals, just from the look, the whole thing and everything, who you got, Dean?
I think there was wasn't there like a Viagra one as well?
I think there was a Cialis, Dean.
Cialis, that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's
was there a Cialis?
No, I didn't have that. No, I didn't never. I was only the Yamaha deal. Of course, I didn't run a Ranger back then, so those were all the team deals. So I never was part of that.
But who did you think were the coolest team deals?
I always thought the BF Goodrich team was like the yellow and the black and the silver. It looked really sharp, picture wise. But all that was like brand new. It was cool back then, and it was cool to have those teams and everybody looking the same for that time, that period of time during the FLW deal when they had all that Walmart stuff going on.
That's good stuff. All right, Dean, I just want to thank you for jumping on. Anniversary of 45-2, got 2 Arizona guys. I'm going to continue with Hite, but I knew that you had a very short time window.
Yeah, I did. I appreciate you coming on, and thanks for everything, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you.
See you later, Hite.
All right, well, there you go. Didn't expect that, did you?
No, that was cool. Yeah, I was at that tournament. What was funny is Skeet and I ended up I remember pre-practicing for that tournament, okay? And they had crazy record-breaking cold weather 2 weeks before the tournament. It froze a bunch of the orange groves and everything. I mean, it was wind chill was 18 degrees or something like that. So it got it was super cold. And then the week of practice, it was the full moon and it was 85 degrees. And fishing was really tough the first 2 days of practice. And so Skeet and I ran all the way to the Kissimmee River to catch 8 pounds. And when I get to the weigh-in that boat basin, and I hear the first weight said 38 pounds. And I'm like, what? Huh? And I'm like, what? I just drove 70 miles to catch 8 pounds. And I'm like, who's winning? Yeah, Rojas has 45. I'm like, what? Wait, what did you say? Yeah, Rojas has 45. Mark Davis has 42. I'm like, what? and they're all catching them within sight of the launch ramp. I was like, oh, Skeet and I were laughing. We were we were so far off of it when those fish decided to flood the bank and get on the beds. I mean, they were just catching giant ones. So it was pretty funny. Skeet and I still laugh about that. We drove literally 70 miles away from the best fishing that bass fishing has ever seen.
So I had never been on Toho, and obviously we had an open there last year. And I know it's off limits for you guys. You got an event there, but I remember coming in and Brad Hallman was like, "Yeah, that's where Dean caught him." And I'm like, "Huh? What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, right there." And I'm like, "Right there?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "No way." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, it freaking went down right there." And I'm like, "No joke." And he's like, "Yep, right there."
It was not, I bet we should have asked him how many gallons of gas he burned the whole week.
I think he said he burned 1.5 gallons.
Yeah, it was not much.
I remember he's told the story before.
Aaron had 40 pounds, I think, too. It was insane. I was like, and then I was rooming with Aaron at that tournament, and he's like, I can hear him right now. Bro, it's so easy. They're everywhere. You gotta put the trolling motor down. They're everywhere. I'm like, what do you mean they're everywhere? They're everywhere. They're giant ones. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just roamed around for the next day or so trying to find some big ones. And I mean, after the first day, they got a little bit tougher because everybody just absolutely throttled them right there.
Yeah, you were 37 pounds out of the lead after day one.
Yeah.
After day one.
I mean, yeah. You know, what what do you do then? You know?
I remember Dean talking about that, and he's described it before where he would be fishing, and he said he would see these 7 to 12 pounders like just waddling into, he said, flooding the banks. Like he'd be fishing for one, and like 3 would be like swimming past him, looking for an area to get up there and get on a bed with the buck. He said it was the absolute perfect storm.
Yeah. I mean, for a real hard spawn in Florida, you got to have that big cold snap prior and then a real fast warm up. And then those fish really flood the bank hard. But if you just, if Florida just has kind of a mediocre winter and not a bunch of cold snaps, then, you know, they just kind of, you know, there'll be a big pod of them move up this week and then another pod next week. But literally every bass in the lake tried to spawn like one weekend there, and we just happened to be there. When
you've had your mega bags in Florida, I mean, you've had 30 plus.
Yeah, 35 at Okeechobee one time.
Did you know going out that day that you were about to maul them?
I had a pretty good idea that I was on some good ones, but when you start off the day with like 2 8-pounders, you're like, okay, yeah, this could be going in the right direction. And then next thing you know, you look in the live well and you got 5 giant ones, and you're like, okay, 35 pounds, yeah, I'll take that for the first day.
I mean, does that feel surreal? I know you're a professional; it's what you do for a living. You've caught big bags before, but
yeah, everything just went right. It was really setting up the way that I kind of had found glimmers of hope of what I was doing fishing offshore hydrilla in years past at Okeechobee, and it was kind of funny. Everybody was on like the reed lines, and I was just out there in the middle, just winding my chatterbait and throwing a Cinco and a swim jig. I caught them on all 3 of those, and you know, I really kind of had it to myself, and they were just, a lot of those fish were spawning out there on that outside grass line, just deeper spawners that didn't get all the pressure that the hard reed line did.
Yeah, you've had some absolute blowout derbies in your day. Like when you get on them, you freaking get on them.
Yeah, that Brent and I had probably one of the most epic battles at the Cal Delta when I won the National Guard there. I think I had like 105 or 104 pounds, and Brent had 102. I mean, we just absolutely wrecked them. I mean, it was like 5-pounder after 5-pounder after 5-pounder. It was so much fun. It was probably the best fishing I'd ever seen was at that Cal Delta tournament.
We'll take our final break. When we come back, I'm going to wrap things up with Hite. Talk about what you have going on currently, getting ready for a new season, how some of the fans and listeners can keep up with you. And I'll take like 1 or 2 questions. If you have any, I've seen some questions. Everything's jackhammer related. You're a one-trick pony at this point, Brett. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Yeah. How have you ever had? How did you ever catch a fish before the bladed jig came about? It's a freaking miracle. All right, BTL on a Tuesday. Hey, special guest Dean Rojas jumping in on the anniversary of 45-2 from the marina where he pulled his boat up. That was cool. Big shout out to Dean on that. Also, wrapping things up with Hite. We will be back right after this.
Combining one of the most popular hook styles with Gamakatsu's beefier Superline offering, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend delivers the strength necessary to target big fish in heavy cover. Well suited for braided line and heavier fluorocarbon, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend is built using stronger Superline wire that allows anglers to easily fish a finesse worm around heavy cover. The round bend offers a larger bite area, perfect for any worm presentation, while increasing your hookup ratios. The newly enhanced Z-bend holds your plastics on the hook longer, reducing the number of pull-offs and reducing damage to plastics. Available in 2/0, 3/0, 4/0, and 5/0, This is the most durable worm hook, designed for heavier lines that hold your bait on longer.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Get that beast.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com.
The new Android series is the peak of the Denali lineup and offers the ultimate Denali experience. The Android series features 36-ton multi-directional graphite combined with interlock blank technology for added strength. Each rod is outfitted with Royal titanium guides that will not fail. The blank is fitted into an easy-touch, soft-feel EVA foam grip with exposed blank reel seat. This all allows the Android to transmit every movement of your bait and even the most subtle bites. The Android series is the finest rod Denali has ever made and offers an angler the ultimate fishing experience with a limited lifetime warranty. See the full lineup of Android rods at denalirods.com.
Wrapping things up on a Tuesday with the man Brett Hite. Seriously though, can you buy those shirts or do you have to be given them? Are they available for purchase?
No, they're not.
So I was right that it is a specialty t-shirt.
Yeah, you got to be in the cool kids club.
Why don't they sell those?
I don't know.
I feel like a lot of people would buy them.
They probably would.
How do you get in the cool kids club?
Got to be a
like,
cool
are we
kid.
talking, are there like 20 of those, 100 of those? Like, is it just you and Marizo that just wear the jackhammer shirt around and giggle?
There's a few out there on tour.
All right. That was one of the main questions that we had earlier in the show was how to get the hands on them. You have a very edgy outfit today because your spider on the hat is also very angular.
That's right. Got to get the Tatula.
All right. Questions for Brett as we wrap it up. What do you got? What do you got going now? You're going. It's weird to me that you're a seasoned veteran. Like when I remember when I first covered this, it was like Brett Hite, the young guy out of the West Coast, and I mean I was just a kid too. But I mean you're like decades into this thing now, and there's like crazy number of guys in their 20s. We've seen Dakota Eber's a little older, but we've seen what Kyle Hall did on FLW this year. Dakota Eber, that deal with Michael Neal, he's like mid-30s. Wheeler, Kyle, all these guys are crazy young and crazy good. Is it weird to be a generation of like there's a whole nother generation now?
Yeah, you want to know a fun fact about Michael Neal?
Yeah.
The first day at Toho when I won, I think I had like 24 pounds. He was like 16 years old and he was my co-angler.
Ooh, when was this?
In 2008.
On the tour.
Yeah, he was the co-angler when I won it. He was my co-angler when I won at Toho.
No way.
Yeah.
Hold on. I pull it up. I'm pulling this up. It doesn't even Oh, it does. 2008. I didn't even know he fished as a co-angler. He fished 2 years as a co-angler.
Yeah.
And he got smoked. He fished all 6 in 2008. He finished 93rd in the standings, made $2,300. Fished 5 in 2009, never even cashed a check. Triple digits, 103rd. So 2008, Toho, you back-ended the hell out of him, Brett.
Yeah, now he's taking it out on me.
He zeroed with you.
He's taking it out on me.
So you had how much? You had how much?
I think I had like 24 pounds or something, 23 or 24 pounds.
And he didn't even catch it. And that's a 12-inch limit there.
That is a 12-inch limit there.
He didn't even catch a 12-inch. Do you vividly like remember that day? Like, was he good?
Yeah, I mean, he was good. He was very respectful, just like how Michael is now. I mean, but you know, he was just young, trying to learn, and obviously he learned some stuff. he's kicking everybody's butt now. He's one of the hottest fishermen in the world. But you know, Michael's always respectful and try to stay out of your way. I think he kind of, after I had a big limit, you know, or had, you know, 3 or 4 good ones in the live well, he just really respected my water and never got in my way. And I appreciate that.
That's good stuff. Plans for this year? You gonna make a run at it this year?
Yeah, that's the plan, man. I've been getting my stuff ready for the last 2 or 3 weeks and getting all my ducks in a row, and got my new Vexus and Mercury sitting in the garage. Just been tinkering with that, dropping my boat off to get wrapped on Thursday, flying to the Tri-Cities in Washington to Nixon's Marine to do a show this weekend, come back, and I think I'm going to leave on 28th to start heading eastbound and down.
Very nice. You're still rolling Sunline, right?
I am, yeah.
I mean, that's I was looking at one of the interesting. You've been with them forever.
Yeah, I think since 2002.
That's crazy.
Yeah, been with them for a long time, seeing the brand really grow, and just have so much confidence. And when you tie a bait on that, you know, you're not gonna have any issues, and just such a great product.
They've got like 9,000 different types of line, and I'm working on getting someone from Sunline on to talk about the different dynamics as far as stretch, abrasion resistance. They have all those weird like diagrams on it, but this is a question that I know some people have. If you were to just pick 2 or 3 brands going into the 2023 season, let's say you're just fishing, you know, a BFL division, or from the back of the boat, you want to get a couple different spools that covers the gamut. I know you've had like the exclusive chatterbait line that's been out before, and there's all that. If you just pick 2 or 3 of them to cover you in 90% of situations, say as a spinning rod application, a flipping, and a winding baits, give me 2 or 3 different spools that you're going to make sure you pick up.
Yeah, I mean, my number one day in and day out is Sniper, FC Sniper. It's just super limp line. It's super strong. I mean, that's what I throw most of my stuff on is FC Sniper. It's been the stable and their lineup. It's just good all around fishing line. Like I said, it's limp. It does not real coily. Doesn't have a lot of memory. It's super strong. It's thin, and it's at a good price point too. So I mean that's one that's probably on 95% of my rods most of the time. And you know, for like a spinning reel, I've really gotten into that new D braid, which is it's a pink colored braid. It was designed by Marizo. It's a spinning rod specific braid, and been using that in like a 15-pound to obviously FC Sniper leader.
Okay, I've heard about this. I've seen it on a couple of the Sunline guys' lines.
Yeah, it's a pink braid. So
it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, what's the deal with that? Because I think Hallman's using it. Of all people, Brad Hallman's like, hey, this is great spinning rod braid. And here's Brad Hallman using pink braid on one of his spinning rods.
It's the best spinning rod braid I've ever used. I mean, it's super strong. It's a sinking braid, so it's good for, fishing structure with the spinning rod. And I mean, whether it's yellow or orange or pink, I like the high vis, because if you got a green colored, let's say a 15 or 10 pound test braided line, and it's cloudy that day, it's really hard to pick it up when you're not deep. But really been liking that braid. I got it maybe a year and a half ago, and that's all I've been using. So guys are looking for a really good spinning rod braid, try that D braid by Sunline.
All right. $40 for a spool of that stuff, but that's a one and done for the year, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I was getting ready to change. I got one with a new spool on it, and then 2 other spinning reels that have been on there all year long, and it's still good. I mean, so it really, you spend $40 and it lasts you it'll last you until you get down to the knot. But it's just really, really good stuff. Super silky in the guides. I like that, where it doesn't have a rough sound going through the guides.
And are you going 15 as a whole, or are you going, it comes in 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, and 19.
I've tried the 13, the 15, and the 19. And I would say for most applications, I would say the 15 is probably the best all around, because it's a pretty small diameter. So the 15, it's really pretty tiny. I would say that's probably my favorite all the way around.
I like it. I'm glad I asked that question, because I actually had questions. And the thing, so when I heard first about it, it was that it was sinking, and that was the big thing. So most braid floats on the surface when you're fishing a finesse application. It's like, hey, this is getting the Ned rig down quicker. This is getting your shaky head down there. This is getting your Nico or your wacky worm down, as opposed to being with the line pulling it.
It's going to give you more of that feel like you're fishing straight fluorocarbon, Matt.
Okay.
But it's good all around braid. I mean, I really, really like it. And
are you using the Sniper as your leader then, or are you going?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm using Sniper, or I will switch up, like fishing out west here when I'm going to a smaller line diameter. Normally, when I'm fishing on tour, I'm usually using like an 8-pound Sniper leader, but around here, when I'm trying to be a little bit more finesse, maybe like a 6-pound shooter or a 7-pound shooter. Just something a little bit more abrasion resistant, but that shooter's super thin, and it's just a little bit tougher line. So when you start going down in line size, I like to go up to a little bit more abrasion resistant line.
That's good stuff. Your affinity and ability with the light stuff, I think, has been overshadowed over the past decade.
Yeah, I mean, me and Aaron and Kota Kariyama kind of started the whole drop shot craze, fishing the Western Invitationals. And that was the year I had a good year. I qualified for the top 150s and made the Classic when I was 21 years old. And that's really, I think that was like 2000 is really when the drop shot. Aaron won a bunch of tournaments. I finished top 5 in a bunch of invitationals. So, and then, won a ton of money fishing that drop shot. And now there's the bladed jig, like you said, kind of overshadowed it, but still love finesse fishing and still love chatterbait fishing too.
How long were you guys able to keep that drop shot under the radar? Because there's no social media back then. You're talking 2000. Yeah. If it's a magazine article or a TV show, that's your only option.
Yeah. I mean, it was, what was funny is we always thought of it, using a little nose hook, fishing out deep, fishing pretty much vertical. And then, as time progressed, it's like, you can fish this thing from 6 inches of water to 80 feet of water and be productive. I mean, it catches fish from 6 inches to 80 feet. And it's just funny to see how it's kind of evolved, you know, even to like a Bubba shot, you know, guys, you know, pitching around on braid, around, you know, whether it's reeds or tules or grass or something like that. And how, what a great, it's probably one of the best bed baits out on the market. I mean, or techniques that you can use to bed fish. And really you can kind of put whatever soft plastic you want on there.
And you were able to keep that under the radar. But I also think, you know, the rise of the jackhammer, the chatterbait, coincided perfectly with social media exploding into the industry. So it was a bait that seemed to, you know, thrift, and you with the Phoenix and a number of guys that 03, 04, 05, you know, it talks about how those guys were using it. But once that, you know, you talked about 13, 14, 15, like where you were winning, that's when Instagram came about. That's what Facebook went like public past the universities. That's when all this stuff popped up. And it seemed like that was boom. I mean, it went from a couple guys going, look at this weird thing, to everybody had all, like, everything on it. And that was you could not have had a better timing in the rise with social media, that kind of where you went over to the from the tour back to the Elite Series that year, that you had the explosion of social media, your success in that bladed jig. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, just like you said, Matt. I mean, when the drop shot first came out, unless you saw it on a Bassmaster show or FLW show, or it was in a magazine article, there was no way to really get that knowledge out, which was probably a good thing for us for a little while, you know. And you know, everybody's like, oh, that's a West Coast deal. That's a West Coast deal. And it's like, now everybody's doing it from New York to California and in the South, you know. I mean, it's something that's pretty much on every single tour angler's rod at some point in time during the year.
You're a cutting edge guy. Obviously, I'm not asking you to divulge it. Is there stuff right now? Are there secret things right now that, you know, a couple guys have under their hats that are playing big time, but that they're very guarded about? Does that exist? Is it possible to exist in this day and age?
There's a few little secret things out there. I don't think they're playing in a giant way. Not like groundbreaking, like a bladed, like a chatterbait or a bladed jig or a drop shot technique. I mean, there are a couple little sneaky things out there that if the timing's right and the situation's right, it will outproduce other techniques.
Do you throw hey, we'll bring this thing full circle. We started with a Modium AD and we'll end with the heavy poop.
Yeah.
What is that thing?
Poop. Yeah.
Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's the thing that's just a chunk of.
Yeah. It looks like a giant Cinco, but it's real stubby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you messed with that? Is that one of the things that?
I mean, I know guys are catching them on that thing. It's been a kind of pretty popular thing in Japan, and, you know, guys, they definitely been catching some on it. You know, it's one of those things where that's not like a search bait. You know, you got.
I don't know what kind of bait it is. What is that thing?
You kind of got to find the right spot, and then, you know, it takes some patience, because, you know, it falls fast, but if you're fishing it out on structure, it's still going to be kind of pull your hair out waiting for it to get to the bottom.
All right. What else you got? How can people follow, listen? You got anything big coming down the pipeline?
Nothing big. Just getting ready to go on tour. You know, follow along on Facebook, Instagram. Always got something going on, and just gonna get all my tackle ready the next couple of weeks and hit the road.
Last question. Do you like that team deal? I know that they've been filming it all winter, and then some of the stuff is just coming out now from some of them. I've seen the pilot. What are your thoughts on the team series that is coming out?
It was a really fun way to fish. You know, I mean, it's kind of like practicing with two other guys in the boat, you know, because you go to a lake that you've never been to, and then you have two other guys in your ear, and we're trying to figure out the pattern of the lake, like instantaneously. You know, it's like, okay, you're going to go up the creek arm or up the river. I'm going to go in the middle of the lake and you're going to go down by the dam. And, you know, just sharing that information instantaneous, like, hey, I caught one on a secondary point with rock. And then everybody starts trying to duplicate that and then try to find that pattern. So it's like having two other people practicing and breaking down the lake at the same time.
Instagram handle? Brett underscore. No, that's not right. Yeah. Brett underscore Hite underscore fishing.
Yeah.
See, you're using a spinning rod in your profile picture there. You're letting people know that you're still an OG. Yeah. It's not just the cast and crank. You know how to.
I got the finesse.
Good stuff. Brett, thank you very much. Like I said, we had a surprise guest. We covered a ton of topics. We reminisced about the past. We talked about the future. You gave up a little bit of juice. We had some tips and techniques. You did not offer anybody a specific T-shirt that no one can get that's hard to get. But hey, it's all good, Brett. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to jump on BTL. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I know you have a Peloton lesson that you're 5 minutes late.
I'm supposed to be pedaling here in 3 minutes.
All right. Thanks for jumping on BTL.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
See ya. All right. That was the one and only Brett Hite. Big shout out to him. Tomorrow, one of those guys who had an FLW team deal, but has moved on to other things now. Justin Lucas, kind of a show regular. Justin Lucas jumps on tomorrow for Wednesday. Then Thursday, day 4 with Frank Scalish. We will be giving away, go back to the last day 4. You still have another day to enter Frank's giveaway. All right, big shout out. Thank you to Brett Hite and Dean Rojas. This has been another edition of BTL. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow.